Peter Watson, how did you end up in New Zealand? Well, that's a long story, Peter, but I guess we got time here, don't we? I ended up in New Zealand by basically 9/11 happened. And Mom decided, hey, Lark, we're getting out of America. And I've lived here ever since. And that's been a heck of a long time now, to be honest. So it's been quite the experience, but New Zealand's home. New Zealand's home. Russia's like my second home now, and even though I grew up in the States, that's another time, another place. Pretty far removed from it. Although I do still have some family in the States. Okay, I want to talk about this article today, because it's pretty interesting actually. Here's how the ICO market is creating a new financial subculture. And I thought this was a really interesting topic actually, because traditional investing, traditional stocks, all these things, they're so hard to get into for most people. But ICOs, there's so little to do. You just put an ICO out and you start collecting your Bitcoin and Ethereum. And on the flip side, as an investor, you can just put the money in. So it's pretty cool. And I understand that there's this amazing craze right now going on around ICOs, and people are just going absolutely crazy for it, of course. Obviously, you know, who in the room hasn't invested in an ICO? The question, of course, then becomes, well, which ICOs? How much should you invest? Are they good to invest in? Etc., etc., etc. Mr. Semembus, do you think you're going to be a millionaire in the future, Lark? Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't you, Mr. Semembus? I guess it depends on what you want to do. And look, it's not all about cryptocurrencies for me, guys. I got a lot of other stuff on that are going on. You know, and obviously you guys know I talk about the cheese business and stuff like that once in a while. That's a thing too. But can cryptocurrencies make you a millionaire in of themselves? Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's lots of success stories out there of people who have become millionaires through investing in cryptocurrencies. And it's so young, it's so new. If you invest in cryptocurrencies regularly, let's say you're a regular dude, you make $500 a week, for example. And every week, you know, you just invest $50 into cryptocurrencies. You know? And you just keep taxing yourself like that. And it's just like investing in any sort of regular savings in that way. You just keep investing. You tax yourself $50 a week. And whether you're going to put that into a savings account or you're going to put that into cryptocurrencies, I'd suggest in cryptocurrencies, of course, it will build up so much over time. You know, buy $50 worth of Bitcoin a week, every week for the next 10 years and see where you are. Peter Watson, investors need to be patient. Yes, Peter. Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. And this is one of the problems with ICOs in general, is that people are impatient. They get it and they dump it straight away. You see this with most ICOs. People hope to get like, 50 or 100% gain on their money. They dump it straight after the ICO. And then that's it. But it's such a mistake, actually. You've got to take the long-term view on this stuff, guys. Look at, for example, Omise Go. Anybody who dumped their Omise Go just after the ICO was an absolute fool, because it absolutely boomed. Like something like 4,000% gains or something like that. It's absolutely crazy, right? The question is, if there are tons of ICOs coming out every month and we can't invest in all, will this not create a problem in the future? 90% of the ICOs will fail in the long run. It's already creating a problem. This is the thing, is that ICOs are getting a bad name because it's so easy to do. So ICOs, a lot of potential, but yeah, you gotta be patient, guys. Peter Watson, people hear Bitcoin stories on mainstream media and think they can become millionaires overnight. Look, and to be honest, I feel that is so much of the cryptocurrency market right now, where people just think, you know what, I'm going to become a millionaire overnight and it's going to be amazing. And it's just kind of not that way. And all you guys who have been here with me for a while and you've been in the space, you guys know what's up. It's not about, you know, hey, I'm going to become a millionaire instantaneously. It's a little more than that, guys. You actually got to, you know, take that time, invest, find the projects that you really like, and go with those. Because if you hold on to things long term, you're going to see such amazing potential come out of things. And like Bitcoin is the ultimate example of this. People who invested in Bitcoin and held their Bitcoin have been killing it. And a lot of those people, I would like to point out that a lot of those people are still, after all this time, well, I mean, not a lot of them, but certainly some of them are still hodling onto that Bitcoin. And that's important, guys, because, again, the long-term value here comes not from jumping from coin to coin and not from, you know, selling after a few minutes, but you got to hold on to it. You got to hold on to it, guys. That is where it really comes from. I'll throw a screen capture on over here. There we go. Ta-da! Fantastic. Look at the chat going there on the side as well. What are your thoughts on Verge? Would you suggest for someone who wants to invest into Ethereum and NEO to wait for a few more days? Or can we get in now? Amit, you got to ask yourself, what do you want out of Ethereum? What do you want out of NEO? I would say, personally, NEO's got a lot more room to grow than Ethereum. And I'm not saying Ethereum's not going to grow. Ethereum's got a lot of upside here. But NEO is so much more undervalued in comparison. SJ, when do you think you would get out of your long-term holdings? Would you ever? It sometimes feels like a game plan without an end. Well, SJ, if you don't have a game plan, then it is a game plan without an end. Straight up. So, if you have a game plan, well, then that's fine. But if you don't have a game plan, well, that's a different question, SJ. And look, I've got a game plan. I know what my sell points are. And you need to set up your sell points. You need to decide when you want to get out of things. Look, some things I will hold for much longer. Some things I won't sell all of them. You got to keep that in mind. What do you want out of it? You got to ask yourself these questions when you're getting into the crypto game. Otherwise, it is a game without an end. You just hold on. You don't know when to sell. You get really stressed out because, oh my God, my coin's gone down 5% today. It's gone down 10%. It's gone down 20%. Oh my God, I'm losing all my money. I have to sell now. And now I've lost 50% of my money. That's not how it works. You got to have a game plan. If you don't have a game plan, you're doing it wrong. There's a lot of ways to set game plans. I made a video on crypto sort of portfolios. I would suggest to go watch it. I give you some things to think about and how you can set your sell points. I'm a bit longer on things than some people might like to be. Some people go, you know, get 100%. Derek Cole, I'm never going 100% out. Derek, amen to that. Amen to that. You know, as said in my my video when I was talking about Lisk, you know, I've got a 300,000 Satoshi sell point, which is much higher than Lisk is at right now. Keep that in mind. And that's when I sell a decent portion of it. My Sonum, for example, I've got a good sell point on that. And, you know, I'll sell like a quarter of it, but only when it's like 10x, because it will. Sonum's a great project, right? It will be worth as much as Golem or more in the future. You know, and actually talking to the devs tonight only made me think, wow, it's got so much more potential than I even realized when I looked at it. You know, so you gotta have a plan here, SJ. You gotta have a plan. Graham Colon, read The Art of War to learn how to build a strategy. There's a lot of different great ways to think about how to build a strategy. There's a lot of great advice out there. So, you know, get out there, find information, and get a plan. Get a plan, SJ. Without a plan, you know, you're kind of doomed to fail. Because what's the saying? Failing to plan is planning to fail. Something for you to think about. Robin, I'm working with companies here in Sweden now to make Bitcoin accepted as a payment. That's really cool, Robin. That is really cool. Amit, how much would you suggest to invest in crypto versus other things? Gold, silver, etc. I don't invest in gold, silver, etc. I just invest in cryptos. David, do you still like Sonam, Lark? David, I still love Sonam. It is so early days for Sonam. They have so much to do. So much to do. It is really, really early days for them. So keep an eye on Sonam, guys. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be a really good project in the long run. Just a quick announcement as well. Guys, you gotta watch out for these scams. There's been so many scams around Ethereum recently. ICO, this is one from my Ether wallet. They will never endorse an ICO or advise for an ICO. So never click on a Slack. If someone in Slack says, hey, what's up? Hey, Sam R. for joining us from Queenstown. What's up, man? Derek, life is a gamble. That's true. Stuart, the whole Golem Sonam thing confuses me. Interesting. Stuart, they're setting up global supercomputers at its most base. Sonam, for example, they're planning on going even farther than what Golem is. You know, they want to be up there with, you know, big corporate powers, right? They're looking at like, okay, how can we get up there with Amazon? How can we get up there with Google? How can we take this that far? How can we provide the kind of cloud services that they provide, for example? Sammy, what if your plan is to hodl for a few years and then see what you're gonna do? Is that a good plan? Well, it's not a bad plan, Sammy. It's not a bad plan. Certainly hodling is, you know, a pretty good plan, because you got to invest in the projects you believe in and then go for it. Stratus at $3. Whoever asked that question, yes, Stratus at $3 is a good buy, especially since they have so much coming out in the near future. An Elliott Wave Analysis YouTuber is calling for a $200 Bitcoin. What do you think about it? A $200 Bitcoin? Get out of here. Look, is there a chance for Bitcoin to go down a lot? Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a $200 Bitcoin. I don't know what he's talking about, what analysis he's done, what he thinks he's got going. But a $200 Bitcoin, there's demand would have to almost disappear overnight to have a $200 Bitcoin. Seriously, think about it. Think about it. There's, 13 million people on Coinbase. That's just Coinbase. Think about all the other exchanges. Think about all the people who are getting involved. Think about all the ICOs. A $200 Bitcoin, really? That's crazy. That's crazy. Metaverse, will it rival NEO? Asks Russell. I did a video the other day on Metaverse. Metaverse, very interesting project. Still doing really well, actually. Still climbing. Still climbing. Will Metaverse rival NEO? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I think Metaverse will do really well on its own merits. A $20,000 Bitcoin. Yeah, maybe did forget to add the zeros. What's up from Canberra? Look, Metaverse, it's got a lot of upside. I have this feeling like NEO's going to be on the inside track in China. If that's the case, they have a lot of potential to really get in there and shake things up and be a funnel for things. So we'll really see how it goes, basically. But Metaverse has got a lot of upside, guys, and it's definitely not too late to get into Metaverse. If you see any little pullbacks on it, jump in if you want to get involved in Metaverse. So, pretty cool project. Of course, they have that great staking potential as well. NEO at the end of the year question, do you think NEO needs China to survive? NEO doesn't need China to survive, but I feel like NEO has the right connections within China that they'll thrive with China, but they don't need it to survive. That is what I would certainly say about it. What is your opinion of Bitcoin Gold, and what are you going to do before and after the fork? Well, Bitcoin Gold, I think they're trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist. In fact, they're already creating their own problem, actually. Because really, what are they trying to do? They say, okay, we're going to shift it away from the big ASIC miners, we're going to shift it over to the GPU. Well, that gives all the power over to the guys in NVIDIA and AMD. And what, you think you're not going to have giant mining farms with that? They've created a problem, which wasn't, it's kind of a problem, but we're already seeing a massive diversification in Bitcoin farming around the world. It's already happening organically. Americans are really doubling down on this. John McAfee's company, MGT Capital, they're investing in Sweden, they're investing in Maine. Richard Branson's, pushing Bitcoin. The Russians are getting involved big time in Bitcoin mining. It's spreading out anyway. Bitcoin Gold wasn't necessary. It's not adding anything to the party. I don't think it has any community support. Have you talked to anyone who's excited about Bitcoin Gold? I haven't seen anyone excited about Bitcoin Gold. None of the YouTubers, none of you guys in the comment section. No one writing articles. Bitcoin Gold just seems, people are like, whatever. So, look, if you do want to get it, I mean, obviously, I've got my hodling Bitcoin, and I'll get my Bitcoin Gold as a result of that, but whatever. It's, I certainly wouldn't sell off any of my altcoins to try and get Bitcoin Gold. So I've heard a lot of people saying, oh, should I sell all my altcoins now and try and get Bitcoin Gold? No, don't do that, guys. Don't do that. That's my advice anyway. I wouldn't sell my altcoins to try and get Bitcoin Gold. Me. Lark, you see a future in mining versus proof of stake, environment, and whatnot? Look, proof of stake I like. Proof of stake's the better system, to be honest. And there is obviously environmental concerns for mining, and that's, I don't know if that came through on the start of the video. We had some problems there, but nevertheless, mining can be a real problem, and even if it's all done on renewable energy, you still have all these computer chips. The environmental impact goes crazy beyond what we even think about. We're just thinking about electricity use. What about all of the rare earth minerals and things like that have to be mined to produce the chips? What about all of the extraction, all the trucks? I look at these size of these trucks. I know this is just a generic photo of somebody mining, but there's real things to think about here with mining, guys. Seriously. So, oh, by the way, smash that like button, guys. Smash that like button. But yeah, proof of stake is definitely the way of the future. But that being said, we're not going to see a proof of stake Bitcoin anytime soon here, guys. Although who knows? Maybe it'll be next fork. Somebody wrote that in a comment today. Next fork, proof of stake Bitcoin. But it won't be popular. It won't be popular. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. So look, the forks are just that. Bitcoin Gold, whatever. The real question, actually, and the one that really needs a lot of conversation, a lot of deep thought by the Bitcoin community, is SegWit2x. There's a lot of people obviously saying SegWit2x is absolutely necessary. There's a lot of people who are saying SegWit2x is, a betrayal. So I'll be doing a video on that closer to the time, guys. Hybrid systems seem like the way to go. Hybrid systems, of course, for anyone who doesn't know, thank you for that, Corey. Hybrid systems, for anyone who doesn't know, is when, proof of stake and proof of work. So mining, but you can also stake them. So everyone is asking about Cardano. Cardano's got a lot of potential here, guys. Honestly. But the thing with Cardano is it is so early days still. I'm amazed that the value 666 is the sign of the beast. They're the devil. They're the devil. I knew it. Now look, let's keep it real here, guys. $666 million market cap is gigantic. Absolutely gigantic. Now I know I've had a lot of people saying, what about the supply, Lark? Don't worry about the supply. 45 billion. I know it seems like a lot, but it's actually not that much. It all depends on the value, the market cap, how much it grows. Honestly, I can really see Cardano going up to Ethereum-like levels, $15-20 billion company. Guys, it's so early days. You got to remember that's going to take a couple years for them to get there. But if you want to get in on Cardano now, at 2 cents each, looking pretty good. You got to think, if they were even up 10x, so a $6 billion company, can you see Cardano being a $6 billion company? I think absolutely being a $6 billion company. Not a problem at all. Everyone is talking about NAV. NAV opinion, I love NAV. If you bought in NAV in the past week, nice. It was a good time to get into NAV, guys. We've seen a big spike on it today. We're probably going to see more run up in NAV. NAV was so stupidly undervalued for quite a while. So NAV, it's a really great coin if you haven't looked into it. I've done a video on NAV as well, but you know, just a few quick comments here. I know we talked about it a little bit earlier in the video, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but man, NAV, great coin, and you know, good staking potential and a lot of upside on it. And they've got a lot of news coming out in the next few weeks, so I wouldn't be surprised to see, you know, some big potential with that as well. Got a whale pumping the NAV coin, quite possibly. The next step will be focused on energy efficiency, possibly free energy. Decentralized system will allow for the tech to be pushed through, says Graham. Yeah, absolutely. What is your favorite altcoin? I've got a lot of favorite altcoins. No, look, I've got a lot of favorite altcoins, and they all do different things, and I'm invested in a lot of them for different reasons. Asking me what my favorite altcoin is like, I don't know, asking me what my favorite beer is. It's like my dad told me, Lark, all beer is good. Some are better than others, but they're all good. No, look, there are some altcoins which are terrible, and I don't think you should go anywhere near. There are some altcoins which are amazing and are super great values at the moment. NEM, amazing value. It's down to like 4,000 satoshis. It's crazy. IOTA, still super early days. Omisego, super undervalued. El Champo LFC, my Cardano wallet is a headache. It doesn't load. El Champo, are you getting sort of like connecting to network and it never connects? If so, you got to go into your program file and open it using the BAP file. I know it's a pain in the butt. My start bar, my icon doesn't work either. I got to go into the file to open it up manually. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but when I do get it open, my wallet works fine. So obviously, I hope they'll fix that in the coming updates. So, but it works nice when you get it going. But they do have some problems with the wallet at the moment. But I'm not surprised. You know, new coin and all. It's always the way, isn't it? Peter Jenner, has Electronium been overhyped? Oh my God, Peter. Electronium is perhaps the most overhyped thing I've ever seen in my life. It's crazy. Like, the amount of people posting their referral links, it's more than even BitConnect. And I got a lot of people posting their links on my BitConnect video, which is fine. You're rocking out, guys. But like, holy cow, Electronium. It's nuts. It's nuts. Average Joe asks, thoughts on EOS? Super low price. Average Joe, I agree. I've actually started buying some EOS now that it's at its super low price. If you guys haven't had a look yet, we're going to come back to John McAfee in a second. Let's just talk EOS real quick, and then we're going to go talk about John. Look, EOS, is really, really down. Obviously, they still have like stupidly long amounts of time to go with their ICO, but nevertheless, all the way down here at 9,900 Satoshis is a pretty gosh darn good buy, about 50 cents a piece. Bought a few hundred the other day. Gonna keep adding on to that. I like it. I like it. Pretty good time buying. It might go lower, guys. It might go lower, but that was kind of the level that I set for myself personally to get involved in EOS at. You know, I sold my EOS when it was at a sort of a high. I had some a while ago, and I said, you know what? I try to jump from coin to coin, but I was looking at it, I was going, man, IOTA is like 27 cents or something at the moment. It's about to pop. I have to do it, and I'll buy back into EOS later because I thought it's gonna go down substantially as the supply keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. I thought, oh, let's look for about 50 cents, and that's where we are. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So we got some EOS going, and I think it's a great buy at the moment. It might go lower. It really might. You know, again, the 1 year ICO was a pretty crazy idea. Mario's. Does your missus know how to access all your different assets? No, I need to show her one of these days, actually. I need to show her one of these days in case I get hit by a bus. Bye, EOS. Alright, let's talk about John. We gotta talk about John. So, John McAfee. If you guys haven't been paying attention, John McAfee has really been becoming a big voice in the crypto space. And I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. John's a character. You got to keep that real. John's a total character. I don't know if you guys have followed the news of John McAfee. I think he had to, like, what was that country? He was like in Guatemala or something like this. He had to like escape in the middle of the night through the jungle and all this stuff. And total character, guys. Seriously. But he has become an absolute Bitcoin evangelist, and he is going big time on a lot of projects. That's a dinner party, though. Can I go to that dinner party? This dinner party looks amazing. Look at this. Got some great wine going on back here. You got Roger Ver there. And look, I'm not a giant Roger Ver fan by any means. You got Jihan Wu. Jihan, what's up, man? And of course, John McAfee in the middle there, talking about marriage and divorce on the blockchain. Seems like actually a pretty good use case for blockchain technology, the registry of all that stuff, obviously. I like McAfee because he's so eccentric. Yeah, me too, Holyfield. Me too. Obviously, he has gone big on Bitcoin mining. So with MGT Capital, they, like as I mentioned before, they're investing in different projects, doing Bitcoin mining around the world. Obviously, we have McAfee coin. Look, and I haven't looked into this in depth, but pretty gosh darn interesting. Pretty gosh darn interesting to see what he's pushing out in that way. And he is an advisor for Latium. So he's busy. He's busy. His next door neighbor was murdered. That happens. We've all had an next door neighbor that was murdered, right, guys? Is Jihan Wu more in support of SegWit 2X? Sesame Judas asks. I don't know what the inside goss is there. There's so many players in the space. It's crazy, guys. So many. I mean, as I was doing my research for the energy video today, I'm emailing all these different Bitcoin mining companies, and I don't know. I have a feeling a lot of them won't get back to me, but I'm mailing all these companies, and there's just so many of them, and every one of them has a CEO, and every one of those CEOs comes out and talks about stuff, and then you have everybody from the exchanges, and there's hundreds of exchanges. They all come out and make their positions known, and it's really hard to keep up with all these guys. Price predictions on NEO to the moon. No, look, seriously, NEO is going to do really, really well. It's going to be Ethereum level prices. Maybe not an Ethereum level market cap, but certainly Ethereum level prices here in the near future. Now, we have just had, of course, 50 million NEO unlocked, but we're not going to see them all hitting the market, if you guys saw that. So the NEO Council had 50 million NEO locked up, and they've just released it a few days ago, and they've got basically the rule that they're not going to use any more than 15 million per year And that's all for incentives, for developers and promotions and all these different things. So NEO will drop, says Rajiv. It might drop a little bit, Rajiv, but not very much. If you do see a drop, get in. Get in. Rory O'Connor, great chat. Any word on NEM, Bitquents, or Siacoin? Nothing on Bitquents or Siacoin. Last I heard from Bitquents, they were still working on the back end stuff, getting their wallet going and stuff like that. If there's been any updates, I haven't heard. But NEM, man, what isn't NEM doing, though, Rory? Those guys are busy. Those guys are busy. They get out there a lot. NEM. Hi from Nigeria. What's up with Litecoin? Litecoin's amazing. That's what's up with it. What is not up with Litecoin? Look, Litecoin's been performing pretty well. And Razvan asks, why is the market red? Look at Litecoin today. Down to 55 bucks. Down 10%. Had its little run up. Now it's going to chill out a little bit. Look, the question I think that's more important to look at here, and the question I'm going to address is, why is the market red? Well, it's almost sometimes like asking, why is the sky blue? And I don't mean that to sound silly, but sometimes the market is completely irrational. And it just does that. We saw a massive run up in Bitcoin, and now the money's gone in and it's chilling. And so demand's falling a little bit. And when Bitcoin goes down in price, the entire altcoin market goes down with it. You might see a few outliers that are really pumping, and they will buck that trend of moving down a little bit. But in general, Bitcoin goes down, the altcoins go down, usually in a fairly relative fashion. Bitcoin goes up, the altcoins go up, usually. Depends on the Chinese Congress going on right now, how NEO will look with the short term. Interesting. Vanessa, what do you think of Comsa? Comsa's a great project. I'm really going to be excited to see that coming out and start running, basically. I'm excited to get my Comsa tokens as well, and then hodl the heck out of them, because I think Comsa will be a great project in the long run. What's your prediction for NEM, says Simon. Simon, where do I buy NEM? You can get NEM over on Bittrex amongst a whole pile of other exchanges. It's a very widely traded coin. You can get it on Poloniex, Bittrex. I don't use Poloniex anymore, but there's a lot of exchanges where you can get it. No problemo. No problemo. NEM has got a big future ahead of it, guys. The team over at NEM must be one of the most active teams out there, honestly. These guys are always doing stuff. They are just making new partnerships, getting around, going on tour. You know, they've been talking to the guys over at Sonam, and they've been talking, you know, that NEM can actually be sort of a backup for them if they can't get what they want out of Ethereum as a blockchain. So a lot of potential here for NEM, guys. More and more projects coming to NEM all the time. Super active team. Catapult's coming pretty soon. Buying NEM down here at 3,899 Satoshis a total steal. I bought some more today because it's such a good looking price. Sesame Judas, Lark, do you have a day job? Amazingly, I do have a day job. And amongst all the YouTubing, it's become a pretty full-time hobby, though. I went to the NEM meetup in London and was very impressed, says Simon. I bet you were. Those seem like some cool guys. I wish they'd come down to, like, you know, if there's another NEM conference over in, like, Sydney or something, I think I'll fly over to that and check it out. That'd be a lot of fun, actually. Thank you so much for hosting these discussions and posting content. I appreciate you, Doug. Thank you for coming and, you know, listen to me talk. Flat Times, your Electronium video sucked, bro. Thanks, Flat Times. Just trying to put it out there, man. That was my personal opinion of it. So, sorry you didn't agree, man. Will NAV and PivX survive being around Monero and Zcash? The Mo86 channel. The Mo86 channel, I think the market has shown us that there is a near insatiable demand for privacy coins. Look, NAV offers more than just a privacy coin, by the way. So NAV is privacy plus anonymous dApps, so we could see more than that coming. PivX has got a lot of upside on it right now, honestly. PivX has got huge potential for growth, and it's at a really good price right now, like $350, like really, really cheap comparatively. I think PivX can be one of the top privacy coins. It is as good as, you know, Monero, for example. It's just big time undervalued. So keep an eye on PivX, guys. Of course, it offers great staking potential as well, 5% per year, which is pretty sweet too. Monero, of course, doesn't offer you any staking potential, nor does Zcash. Nor does Zcash. Lisk is rebranding, says Chris. Yes, Lisk is rebranding. And I think we saw a lot of the hype around that in general push Lisk up to sort of the levels where it was a few weeks ago. Came back down a little bit. You know, you guys see this repeat time and time again in the markets. You get this enthusiasm going. You know, there's some news. Everyone says, oh my God, there's some news. They go and buy in. You actually kind of want to look for things, some of the really popular stuff when it's not being talked about, when it's not, you know, getting that sort of pump. Then it becomes a good time to buy, usually. You know, like IOTA, for example. There's been some little tricklings of news, but we haven't seen any big IOTA announcements, for example. A lot of these, so many of these projects out here right now aren't even going to kick off until the start of 2018 or, you know, December this year or something. So many of them are just starting off. Just starting off. Jenny Lewis, hi from Australia. Hello, Jenny. Welcome to the party. Graham, ARK looks like it might retrace its downward trend and then reach new highs. Quite possibly, Graham. Look, a lot of people ask for price predictions, and I can throw any number out, guys. Price prediction that, price prediction this, price prediction that. I think it's more important to think about, what do you want from it? You know, do you want to be an overnight millionaire? Go play the lottery. Or go invest in some random ICOs. One or the other. Probably better off the lottery if you're going to do that. No, I'm being silly, guys, but really, the price predictions, the market is so incredibly irrational. Price predictions are really just numbers we throw around for fun. You know, in traditional markets, you can kind of say, well, there's more prediction to be made, and yeah, they're still influenced a lot by outside events, right? You know, they're influenced by things like things that go on in China and things that go on in Russia, and we see a lot of that here in the cryptocurrency market. But it's even more irrational because there's even less regulation. Some of the stuff, so much of the stuff that goes on in the cryptocurrency market is actually illegal in a lot of places. Keep that in mind. Ponzi schemes, illegal. You know, the pump and dump stuff, insider trading, ICOs running with investors' money, all this stuff, guys, doesn't happen in normal markets, and there's so much craziness going on in the crypto space that, you know, this is why I've got a fairly risk-averse portfolio. I tend to invest in the top projects, which have very transparent teams, and, you know, teams like NEM, guys like Omisego, you know, Litecoin. These are some great projects, really transparent teams, good people who are trying to do great projects. So that's my thought on it anyway. Can Verge compete with NAV, PivX, Monero? Yeah, absolutely. Verge is a pretty strong player. Thanks for the videos on CEOs and developers. Great stuff. Thank you. Why governments want to come into crypto? Will this affect in the long term? Governments want to control it. Governments want tax. Governments can't exist without tax. And so something like the crypto ruble, for example, taxes would be automatically taken out of every transaction. You think about it from a governance perspective, it seems like a pretty good thing. From a human perspective, I don't particularly like it, but that's the way it is. I like this comment from the Mo86 channel. There will only be 2 or 3 of every class, just like Google, Bing, eBay, etc. Very, very good point. You know, out of all these, how many smart contract platforms are there, guys? Seriously, you ever stop and count? There's like heaps of smart contract platforms. And other guys who aren't doing smart contracts are talking about bringing in smart contracts. People who aren't doing ICOs yet are talking about bringing in ICOs, and there's all this stuff going on. Not all of these smart contract platforms are going to last. Some of them will go by the wayside. But the ones with really strong teams, the ones with real strong vision, are going to last. You know, some of the top platforms that, you know, I'm excited about, obviously Ethereum's got massive potential, but a lot of that potential's already been seen, but it will keep growing. But some of the newcomers, some of the ones that are going to be competing for that space, NEO, Cardano, EOS, Tezos, those are ones to keep an eye on. So if you want to sort of have those Ethereum-like gains potentially on some of these companies, those are the ones to keep an eye on, guys. He promised a $1 million PivX. Where do you exchange your coins? Do you hold your assets in separate wallets? That Doug. Good question, that Doug. Look, where do you exchange your coins is a personal question, I suppose, for some people, because people really prefer different exchanges. You know, I'm pretty excited to see some of the new decentralized exchanges coming out. I can't wait until Binance actually becomes decentralized or centralized now. They will be decentralized in the future. Robinhood, when they come out, will be a very good competitor in the decentralized exchange space. Currently, of course, I'm using Bittrex primarily. I would like to use BitShares. I like the BitShares idea. I think BitShares is a great project, but they don't have very many coins listed. They don't have the stuff I want to buy, guys. Unfortunately. Yeah. And Chris brought up a good point. This is the problem with decentralized exchanges. They make all the decisions. And that is a problem. Because like what Bittrex did, they just started closing some people's accounts. Because I guess they wanted to. And that sucks. So you get it. You get your coins out. Never leave your coins on the exchange, guys. You gotta hold it. I've got like 10 different wallets on my computer, and I've got my my ledger and all this stuff. So obviously not everything that I have can be stored on my ledger. For example, my NEM can't be stored on my ledger. And so we're waiting still for some of these things to come through. IOTA can't be stored on ledger yet. So some of them you do have to keep stored on your various amount of wallets on your desktop. Obviously, if you just have ERC20 tokens, and I'm talking stuff like Omise Go, for example, Sonum, 10x, whatever, you can just keep those on your MyEther wallet. And then you've got pretty much everything in one place, but there's all these different projects though, so that's that. El Champo LFC, have you got any coins that you're going to add to your portfolio, and why? El Champo LFC, you know, this is something I think about sometimes, is that which coins do I want to add, right? And like I said earlier, I've added EOS recently, and I'm going to continue to add that at this price, but really I'm looking at consolidating my holdings. I don't think I'm going to add anything in anytime soon. Of course, I might come across a project that I get really excited about, for example, but I don't want to have too many coins in my portfolio. It becomes too hard to keep an eye on. I've already got quite a few, you know, so I have the conversation sometimes, well, you know, maybe, but no, I think I'll keep them. But I certainly am looking forward to hitting some of those sell points and then letting a few of them go. That being said, two that I am looking at adding, and I'm not 100% that I will add them, but two that I'm definitely looking at adding are MetalPay. Metal's a really cool project, really undervalued at the moment, fairly low coin supply, solving real world problems, and they haven't come out with their wallet yet, guys. It's not, their product hasn't been deployed yet. Still a really, really good time to get into Metal. And the other is Nexus, because Nexus is a really cool project as well. You know, they're going to have one of the most secure blockchains, and they're going to put satellites into space, so that governments can't interfere, of course, outside of, them sending up, I don't know, space sharks with laser beams on their heads or something like that to take out their satellites. So those are two that I'm looking at the moment. I haven't invested in them yet though, but definitely I'm looking to stack up on EOS at this point. Peter Watson. Amen, Peter Watson. I love that comment. That's why Loopring will be game-changing. Trade directly from your wallet. Screw the exchanges. Absolutely, Peter. Peter, also, Komodo, not talked about enough, Komodo, but their barter dex system will also allow for trading straight from your wallet. So fairly similar to what the guys at Loopring are doing. And again, Loopring, as I mentioned in my video, they're not the only guys doing it. Over at District OX and Bancor, there are different protocols as well for similar kinds of trading. Loopring may be the most advanced of them so far, though. Although, to be fair, Komodo stacks up really, really well in comparison as well. Zcash, Zclassic, Zencash. What's the difference besides price? Godzilla Rotor. Interesting question. I haven't looked into Zclassic or Zencash, to be honest. I can only comment specifically on Zcash. I know why Zcash is popular, but privacy coins, guys. Will there ever be an end? Will there ever be an end to the crazy demand for privacy coins? I don't think so. El Champo, I got metal already. Nice. But I got Neblio instead of Nexus. So that's a fair call, man. Neblio is gonna be big, and it's moved a lot, actually. Sonam might be available in Bittrex in the future. Yes, it may very well be on Bittrex in the future. Look, the guys who are at Sonam, obviously they want to get listed on more exchanges. The more exchanges they're on, the wider reach they have. So it's definitely coming. They're only on Binance and Liqui at the moment, but they're coming to more exchanges. Good time to get into Sonam, guys. Super undervalued at the moment. They're only in their alpha testnet phase, so keep an eye out for them. Anyway, guys. I think it's time for me to go to bed about this time. So thank you so much, guys. I'll try and edit the start of this stream so that the funny bits get cut out a bit. But anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for jumping into the chat today. Just a reminder as well that we'll have a few different video projects coming up here in the very near future, guys. So hopefully we'll get some messages back from some of those different energy companies and actually have a chat to them about, hey guys, what are you doing with renewable energy? Where do you see the Bitcoin mining in the future? We'll try and get that subscriber video up in the next few days for you as well, and I will have the Sonam interview posted up tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned into the chat tonight. Really appreciate all the comments. Really appreciate everyone for coming along and listening to good old-fashioned crypto chat, guys. Thank you so much. Long live the blockchain, and